This is a short essay by Avatar Adi Da Samraj, my spiritual teacher. It's entitled The God Who is Imagined and the God Who Truly Exists. There is a common notion people have which they associate with God or the divine, and which they commonly identify as the basic religious feeling or concept. It may be described as a feeling that even when you are alone, there is somebody else in the room. A feeling that there is someone else. This is just the opposite or the antithesis of the disposition of real transcendental spiritual life. I speak about God all the time, but I am speaking from a disposition that is entirely different from the point of view of conventional religion. Perhaps, by contrast, you could say that the disposition of real transcendental spiritual life is summarized in the notion that no matter how many people are in the room, there is still only one person there. In general, discussions about God or religion tend to be naively associated with the idea of the power that is other, or the one who is other, in inverted commas. This God idea corresponds to a rather childish or even infantile sense of reality. Children are not, in general, great metaphysicians or great mystics. They have some very primitive kinds of awareness, as well as some remarkable kinds of awareness that adults tend to lose or dismiss. However, when children communicate their sense of God, they very often express a feeling that has been dictated to them by their parents. They naively describe reality according to a child's psychology, that child-made awareness of reality, which is not natively associated with great, abstract propositions. It is not that children are free of mind and therefore their religious concepts are purer than those of adults. The religious concepts to which a child can be sensitive and responsive are generally built upon the psychology of the childhood situation, which is one of being dependent on a parent or parents, particularly on the mother. The parent-child relationship, in which the parent is a great experienced person there to protect the smaller, vulnerable person, provides the naive basis for childish religious views and for what is commonly called religious views in general. In other words, the notion that people have of God, apart from real God realization itself, tends to be a carryover, an extension of the childish situation. Therefore, religion, in inverted commas, tends to be regarded as a solution, in inverted commas, for a rather infantile problem, in inverted commas. The need to be protected, sustained, and made to feel that everything is all right and that everything is going to be all right. The need to feel that there is a superior other in charge of everything. Now, isn't that what we adults in general are doing? Is an extension of our childhood beliefs that were passed down from our parents, simply saying, as a child, and children need to have some kind of feeling of security. But the parent doesn't say to the child, I'm here to protect you. they often make up this story that God is there to protect us all. That's not God realization. That's just another belief to console us, to give us some kind of explanation for our present situation, our vulnerable situation. So I'll read that again. In other words, the notion that people, mainly adults, have of God, apart from real God realization itself, tends to be a carryover, an extension of the childish situation. Therefore, religion, in inverted commas, tends to be regarded as a solution, in inverted commas, for a rather infantile problem, in inverted commas. The need to be protected, this is the problem, so-called, the need to be protected, sustained, and made to feel that everything is all right and that everyone is going to be all right. The need to feel that there is a superior other, in inverted commas, in charge of everything. Adi Da goes on. Conventional religion is largely an enterprise of childhood, of the dependent, childish state. When people become adults, however, they have more hard facts to deal with in life. They feel much less protected than they did as children in the household of their parents. So they begin to question and doubt the existence of this parental deity because of all more and more hard facts. Such individuals may continue to be conventionally religious in some sense, willing to play the game of social morality and good behavior, but they carry on a rather adolescent relationship of dependence, independence, or embrace and withdrawal relative to this God person. So sometimes they feel protected, childish, other times they throw God out of the window, adolescent. Dependent, children are dependent, adolescents are independent. Such individuals, atheism is the ultimate form of denial of the parental God. Atheism is not founded on real observation of the ultimate facts of the universe. It's not just that atheists are denying God, they're basically denying this parental God. In some ways, they're more mature than the people who believe in God as a parent. So say it again. Atheism is the ultimate form of denial of the parental God. Atheism is not founded on real observation of the ultimate facts of the universe. Rather, atheism is a kind of adolescent development of the human species. What characterizes the doctrine or dogma of atheism is not a discovery that there is no God, but a refusal to acknowledge every kind of parent or parent-like authority, including, therefore, the parental God of childish religion. The way I teach, Adi Da says, is not a form of this childish or conventional religion. When I speak of real causal God, the word causal means already existing, unmade, a causal God. And I also use other terms like real causal God, but this is one of the forms of reference I use. I am not speaking of a parental deity. I have frequently had occasion to criticize this childish mode of relating to God and to the entire process of transcendental spiritual life. I could compare the true disposition that I consider with you to the conventional or childish religious point of view by saying that the true transcendental spiritual process, or the way of reality with a capital R itself, is not founded in the primitive feeling that even when you are alone, there is always someone else present, in inverted commas. So he's not talking about this someone else present form of God. Rather, Adi Da says, I describe the basis of the true transcendental spiritual process as a mysterious intuition that no matter how many others are present, no matter how many people are present, including yourself, no matter what is arising, there is only one reality, one self-nature, one self-condition, one source condition, one self-state. That one is not other. There's this intuitive feeling, if you are accessing your intuitive feeling, if you are readily available to feel your intuitive feeling, that there is only one present. I use the example of an audience. An audience is one. So there's the pianist on stage, or the actor, performing to one. Even though there's 1,000 people there, it's one. It's one audience. So there's one audience. But the pianist feels at one. He doesn't feel alien. He doesn't feel self-conscious. The performer is not feeling self-conscious. The performer simply performs. He's at one with the music, at one with the piano or other instrument, at one with the stage, at one with himself, at one with the audience. So there's only one in that auditorium. That to me is a good example of understanding that there is no other. Soon as I, as a performer, consider there to be an other, I get nervous. I get self-conscious. And that ruins the music. Because there is no other. There's an Indian saying that fear comes about when there's an other. But there's no other. So there really is no other. It's all in the mind. It's all in that bodily feeling that there's another. But the intuitive feeling that there's only one is reality with a capital R. That one is not a parent or your parent. And in phenomenal and experiential terms, that one is not merely devoted to rewarding and punishing you, supporting you and protecting you. Rather, that one is the accursal divine self-nature, self-condition, source condition, and self-state of all phenomenal conditions. This has to be personal. It has to be felt to be true, including all opposites, even all contradictions, that you cannot account for that one in childish terms. Adults are very childish because they haven't realized this something greater, this truth that there is only one. In fact, if you really examine the characteristics of conditional nature or phenomenal existence, there is no justification for believing in the parental deity at all. It is simply not true to the facts of existence altogether that there is a great omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent being making everything happen, in charge of everything happening, and making things turn out well for those who acknowledge that one and obey certain moral principles. It simply is not so. It is not true that there is such a parental deity controlling history, controlling even all events, and working out a great success plan for humanity. Adults, the majority of adults, continue their childhood and teenage years. It's a continuation. But as it says in the Bible, we've got to give up these childish ways and have our perspective changed. So we see life and we take responsibility for our reactions to life. We have to grow into that God nature. The God nature must take us over. It's true maturity, because you're standing alone as God, with God, as God. The more you take on those qualities, the more mature you are under all circumstances, the less reactive you are. It's a graceful happening. For me, this graceful happening has occurred many times over due to this communion with my divine person, divine teacher, Adi Da Samraj. This relationship outgrows childish and adolescent tendencies. It's not a lovey-dovey relationship. There's a lot of kicking ass in this relationship, moving you through limitations, moving you. There's a lot of, a lot of adults haven't been fathered enough. Fathers don't take a great active role in the upbringing of children. Fathers discipline the child. We need disciplines in our life. And Adi Da has never ever shirked, is that the right word? That responsibility with his devotees. But this love relationship carries you through. You're not depending on others, so-called. There's no more emotional blackmail. I'll rub your back if you rub my back scenario. It purifies. So the truth about God is that there is only one. There is no other. And when one can relax into that, there's no more tension and dilemma. And certainly no more fear of death. And no fear of the other while alive. Why be fearful of me? Why should I be fearful of you? All stems from childhood. Children are brought up in fear more than in love. They fear their teachers, a lot of them. Fear what their parents are going to do. Fearful of their siblings. So realize God. Allow your life to be purely for that purpose, to realize God and to realize God daily, throughout the day. It's a mysterious, intuitive happening. Thank you for listening.